Good morning. Good morning. Lord, I won't complain. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Oh, it's been hard for me to get up. Thank God I'm up, though. So listen, it's always going to be something. As long as Trump is in office, it's always going to be something. Good morning, Joyce. Good morning. Good morning. So I got a few things I want to talk about, bring us up to speed on. I think I have it lined up. But just as soon as I think I have it lined up, something else pops off. But I want to start with him, because he's going to brief us on what's going on with some of the Epstein files that's unfolding. New stuff is coming out. He's going to try to bring us up to speed a little bit. Then I'm going to go into the girls. Oh, they so funny. They will make you laugh. The one who calls Trump taco tits. Lord have mercy. High money trucking. Monty. That's so close to money. That's so close to money. You almost made me think that you had money. Money mine. Good morning. Good morning. So yeah, and sometime today I'm going to touch bases with some of the religious part of all of this that's going on with the Zionists, and touch into the Hebrews, and just go, bring us up to speed on that as well. So without further ado, where's my remote? Because I need to get me some breakfast. Have y'all had y'all breakfast and coffee? Are y'all ready? I'll never tell. I mean, you running close. I didn't see that T at first. I saw money trucking. I made that T into an E. I'm just playing. But let's listen to what he got to say, because I have a couple of things lined up. Plus, I got to give me some, I was finna say vittles, but I'm not country. I'm going to have to give me something to eat, if that's okay. For Mother Tom coming here and ask me how I eaten. Y'all ready? Please hit the like button as you come in, as well as listen in. You hit the like button when you listening in too. You're listening with your good ear. Yeah. Double tap. Just double tap the face on your phone. Keep rolling. If you're rolling, if you're sitting, having your coffee and tea and croissants, just double tap. Just do like that. It's cool. I hit the three dots at the top right, and hit the like button. But double tap now. Don't have me call you out. Let's go.
Congress voted to release the Epstein files. Donald Trump lost that battle. We're getting some of the files already from this whole bunch of emails, and there is a lot to come. We are learning a lot. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the Trump DOJ about what they release. I'm Glenn Kirshner, lawyer, and this is going to be a breakdown where I do a couple things. One, I'm going to read some of these new released emails that implicate both Donald Trump, his longtime advisor, Steve Bannon. They've been thick as thieves when they were allies, and on the campaign, they had a falling out, then they patched it up. But Bannon is more implicated in both Jeffrey Epstein's list of goals and emails and other networking than we previously.
Y'all remember Bannon? Bannon's playing both sides. He was a part of the cabinet for Trump on the first go round. He's an advisor. And he is also, he is also, was going to help reshape and rebuild Epstein's career. I'm getting the message. And then he was also the cat, the big dude, kind of, I don't know how to describe him. Anyway, that said, if we don't win the re-election, I'm going to prison, and some of you are too. Him. I'm eating. Okay, well, good. I'm waiting on mine. So that's who he's talking about. Bannon, big dude, scroungy face. You know, yeah, him. Yeah.
Up. But Bannon is more implicated in both Jeffrey Epstein's list of goals and emails and other networking than we previously knew. And he is, of course, a top Trump official. So that's something I'm going to read those new emails. I'm also, in this breakdown after that,
going to go into
the road ahead for the Epstein files. And this will probably be something I do over several installments, because if you look at this like a lawyer or investigator, what we're going to get, what's going to be requested, and where the fights are going to be, there are at least, by my count, 5 main categories of the requested materials for the Epstein files. And so today, I'm going to talk about some of them coming up. I don't want to bury the lead, as we say in journalism, so I will tell you what I view, and you could cut it up different ways, as the key 5 categories from the Epstein Transparency Act are the data, documents, internal materials, etc., about these 5 things. The first Epstein case in Florida, including the secret deal of leniency that he got, how that came about. 2, the overarching activity, conduct, and alleged crimes, as well as some convicted crimes. Of course, he died before the big trial in the Epstein story. 3, other people. That is something that we're already seeing from the first emails, which we believe are part of the Epstein files. So in a way, even before Congress took the action to override Trump, and Republicans dealt him the biggest loss he's had this term, we already got the 20,000 emails because of what Democrats started, and Republicans then joined in releasing those. They have opened questions about other people, not always meaning that if you're in the files, you committed a sex crime or another terrible felony, although that is something worthy of investigation, but also people who were connected to this in all kinds of ways. And what I'm going to read to you about Bannon involves that. 4th material about his death in custody. The Congress, on a bipartisan basis, has basically opened up what is a review of whether there was government misconduct there, whether the government covered something up, failed to safeguard him, whether there was foul play. That's a big deal. Some people tried to initially dismiss any question like that as a, quote, conspiracy theory. If investigating that's a conspiracy theory, the entire United States Senate, across all ideology, all Republicans and Democrats, now think it's a worthy investigation. And again, words, rhetoric gets thrown around. I try to deal with the facts from an investigative, journalistic, and legal sense. And so legally, that's an open question. Doesn't mean we know the answer. Category 5 is DOJ internal dealings, which are some of the hardest to get. There are legal protections generally for that, which includes the current alleged cover-up inside the Trump DOJ, which has upset everyone from Joe Rogan to Megyn Kelly to lawyers to Democrats because they very clearly contradicted themselves, as well as prior DOJs. That could include Democratic administrations that have their own conflicts of interest, now that we're learning more and more, and some of it was known. But even more detail of secret emails about the different figures around different administrations in both parties. So those are kind of the 5. I actually just jotted this down. I'm going to get into that as part 2. Part 1, let's get into Steve Bannon emails. Again, there's been a lot discussed, some of it tied to Trump. I'm going to focus in on the review we've done, and I will say included in these emails is Jeffrey Epstein talking about an interview I did with Bannon in 2018. I didn't know until reading this, like anyone else, about that, but let's start with how they knew to keep their relationship secret. This was in 2018. Bannon had left the White House, and Epstein was a very discredited individual. You might say, well, duh, but he had had times where he was basically rehabilitating his reputation, which, as we've seen in the emails with some top people, at this point there was more heat, there was more pressure. He was more toxic in those elite circles than he had previously been considered. I'm saying that as an observation. Other people ethically could say he should be toxic and exiled ever since anyone learned about any of this. But in that context, they are emailing, and
Hey,
they
Janet.
don't think anyone's reading this because they're hatching a plan to hide their communication. Epstein writes to Bannon in New York tonight through Saturday, if you want to visit under the cover of darkness, and then they discuss, quote, access that's not the front door. Bannon says he believes, doesn't mean it's true, but he was in the government and he believes, quote, they have 24/7 surveillance on you, so they come up with a plan to meet secret. That tells you that while they want to do business of some kind or they want to communicate beyond email, and again, we don't have a record that we know of what they talked about that night, they knew to keep it secret. So right there, you say, wow, these two people, this now deceased sex trafficker and this top White House Trump veteran meeting up, what might have been on their minds that year? We have clues from the emails. Bannon wanted to, he said, and he wrote, rehabilitate Epstein's reputation. Bannon says, quote, we must counter the narrative, quote, of a rapist who traffics in female children to be raped by the world's most powerful, richest men, a man who can't be redeemed. Bannon writes to Epstein, you are a lot of things which we will show, but you are not that. And what does he mean we will show? Well, according to the emails, and this has been corroborated in public, Bannon has confirmed that they were working on a video. Bannon referred to it as a documentary. But knowing how much they're working together, it might be more of a promotional or rehab video that he called as a working title,
Rehab.
The Monsters. That video hasn't come out. Bannon has lately said that maybe it'll come out next year. Then when you look at the media, they talked about populism, selling Trump tax policy, things that we might call traditional politics, but they also would advise each other in both directions. So I just told you, Bannon secretly trying to help Epstein redeem himself. People can judge what that's about. But then Bannon was doing this interview, and I learned about this for the first time from the email release, that Epstein was apparently watching and advising him. He seemed to know about in advance that Bannon was doing. This was an interview with me, The Beat at the time on MSNBC. Epstein writes in August 2018 to Bannon, I took off early so I could land in time to watch. All good. You have your own jet. I guess you control when it takes off. The exchange is quite striking because Bannon says his team loved it. He was too focused, he says, to basically maybe have an immediate reaction. Epstein writes back, last 10 minutes were more the real you. I can tell you in the last 10 minutes of that interview, we had a back and forth the whole time. And I always give credit to anyone who's willing to come in and take the questions if we had a full interview. In the end, I think they might have been referring to the fact that things get over time, even when you're interviewing someone in public, or they know it's on TV, over time, you're human. And so you kind of loosen up and you get back and forth, you get a rhythm for each other. And there was some, I think, energetic back and forth about his view of the press and whether they were covered fairly. And I was asking questions about what's fair in the Trump administration, what's fair game, and there was some of that back and forth. I just say that for context. Then they discuss appearance. Trump derided Bannon on his way out as, quote, sloppy Steve. That might have been on their minds. It was somewhat recent. He says, oh, you look so clean cut next to him. I thought I'd landed on the figure skating channel by accident, Epstein writes. Bannon replies in this email, quote, well, that's my come hither look, kind of a banter. Epstein replies to that, quote, better than the usual come Hitler look. Bannon replies, ouch. They go on to make references to the channel, calling it the Soy Boy Network. Bannon says he wanted to be clean, not sloppy. Epstein, with the soy boy reference, which might mean, with their view of the perceived vibes of a place, journalist, whatever, replies closer to toy boy winky face. So you can see an almost comfort, or what some might
Almost
call
a
a
love affair.
playfulness
Yeah.
between these two. as they advise
close
each
for
other
comfort
on
for me.
media. What's interesting about that
Entirely too
is,
close for.
again, when you go through all
Okay, it's 442 people listening. Well, 468 listening in, and I only have 14 likes. Can we get the math to add up? A double tap. If you're listening in on your phone, just double tap. Do just like that. It don't cost you a thing. It's free. Yeah, I'm not passing the plate. I'm just asking you to double tap. And if you're on your computer, just hit those three dots at the top right. It's like up there. Just go hit those three dots, and it'll take you to the like button. If you can, we can get those likes up to at least half of the 414 people in here. I would greatly appreciate it. I got to get the likes up. Got to get it to. Why are you stopping? I got to get the word out. Double tap for me. Come on. 16 minutes in. Take a sip of your coffee and tea. And hit the like button for me. Oh my goodness. Don't make me start singing. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, please. Hit the like button for AunTeaFee. Come on, y'all. Double tap. Let's go. Let's hear this.
these emails, you'll find out later that all of their machinations didn't necessarily work for them when it came to spinning the media on their key issues.
I know,
and
right?
I'll read you that right now. Michael Wolff, author who has been seen, we've seen his methods in this, and he has responded to criticisms that he seems to be kind of getting too close to his sources. At one point, he seemed to talk to Epstein about having collateral or an ability to have a quote debt over a candidate. In this case, Donald Trump. I've discussed this. Other people have. That's not usually how journalists operate. But an interesting thing, if you actually look at the evidence, is then after all of their back and forth and what seemingly was a close vibe or sourcing with Michael Wolff and Jeffrey Epstein at the time, the book comes out and Epstein appears panicked. Remember, his biggest vulnerability was he was trying to, with Bannon rehab, his reputation, with others trying to distort and hide it. The documents we got from the Congress include not only the emails, but some other materials where you can see Google searches that they were trying to suppress and distort so that at least Epstein wanted his criminal history off the first page of Google results. Maybe he figured people don't go to the second page, so we know that was a really active thing. People said, what did his money and power buy him? It bought at these relationships, but also a kind of a distortion of reality itself. And then this Wolff book comes out, and Epstein writes to Bannon, I have now seen some of Wolff's book, mentions me and underage prostitutes. That's a quote from Epstein. You as the man behind and in front of the curtain. Lots of Steve quotes, lots. Bannon sees that this is a problem. He replies, ugh, UGH, anything awful. I wish he hadn't done that. Why are you mentioned at all? If you were trying to rehabilitate Jeffrey Epstein, one thing you wouldn't do is a press strategy that gets him brought up again in a new current book. And we checked, Fire and Fury spent about 2 months on the top of the bestseller list that year. It's probable that more general public people...
come to think of it, Wolff has been kind of quiet here lately, hasn't he? He been... Do we need to do a wellness check on Wolff? Yeah. He been quiet. Let's go.
People in the population learned about Epstein and his underage prostitute issue, or worse, from that book than anything else. And so this is where both things can be true. I mean, one thing you have to watch out for in life, and certainly in making sense of politics or media, is all these narratives. People say, oh, the Epstein files are only bad for one party. Not true. Both parties are implicated. Oh, the
Yep.
Epstein files show that this or that person was so bad because they only went in one direction. People can
We do
debate and
not
criticize
discriminate.
Wolf, but it's interesting as a factual matter. If you were investigating this case, that while he seemed close to these people when they were trying to spin the press,
Hey,
in the
Naturally
end, he wrote
Norlands.
things that rattled Epstein and clearly cut against him, and Epstein then confides in Bannon about it. And this brings me to one of the last emails. This one actually has gotten, I think, more attention than some of the others. And if you go through the search tool, and this is what investigators would do when you get a document production or discovery in cases, they call it, and journalists do it all the time. This is just a much larger pile than usual. Some emails pop out and they kind of stand alone. But think about all this context of everything that's gone back and forth between these two men. And this is 1 week before Jeffrey Epstein was arrested by federal prosecutors in the Trump DOJ. Bill Barr was Attorney General at the time. The heat has obviously picked up. Epstein had dealt with the law before. He had the best lawyers money could buy. We would think, had some knowledge that the heat was building, because you don't just get arrested out of the blue in a case like this, and they contact people and there's a grand jury and panel. And so if you're the subject of that and you have high-priced lawyers, good chance you'd know about it. And that's the context. Plus their past dealings, where Epstein
Thank you
believed
for the hot
Bannon
cocoa.
was basically on
Monty
his side
Truckin'.
in redeeming him 1 week
Thank
before his
you.
arrest, thinking about leverage. Epstein writes to Bannon, quote, "Now you can understand why Trump wakes up in the middle of the night sweating when he hears you and I are friends." Now, we can't tell you, no one can say exactly what the intention is there, right? The words are the evidence. The intention is something you have to build with more evidence, and people can defend themselves and say, oh, that was just banter, that was this or that. But when you put it in the context of this history, that Epstein stands accused of blackmailing people, including by folks in Trump's orbit, that he had suspicious money come to him from individuals like Leon Black and others. I do a whole other breakdown on that. That he views Bannon, as he put it here, a friend and someone that has helped him at a time when others had iced him out. You have to ask, is this just an observation? Oh, Trump is scared of me. Is it just exaggeration and hope? Oh, we're friends? Or is it a type of threat? Is it a way of saying to Bannon so that he might say back to people in Trump's orbit before he's indicted, you know, this guy thinks he can take you down? He's talking about how he can take you down, and if they are looking into him, just keep that in mind. Now, Bannon is a shrewd person. He's been in and out of prison for a different case. He knows how law works. He's had some good lawyers. I've talked to him about law and other things, including that interview. So Bannon may avoid doing something that would look like meddling or illegal obstruction, right? You can't legally intervene in a federal case, and people get more and more cynical these days about what some of the government's getting away with. But remember, in the first term, the DOJ was still independent enough that after the...
Okay, so Robbie Gibbs, you said if no one is charged, I will still say a waste of time. I don't know how to take that. I don't break that down, because that can go a bunch of ways. And who are you speaking in regards to? So I'll know where you at.
Comey firing, you had an Attorney General Sessions who named a special counsel.
Did I miss that?
That's how we got Mueller, who
Bannon
fought off
Blue
Trump
Bubba
efforts to
as well.
intervene.
Let me
They
back
weren't
that
just
up.
indicting Trump's opponents left and right. Shrewd person. He's been in and out of prison for a different case. He knows how law works. He's had some good lawyers. I've talked to him about law and other things, including that interview. So Bannon may avoid doing something that would look like meddling or illegal obstruction, right? You can't legally intervene in a federal case, and people get more and more cynical these days about what some of the government's getting away with. But remember, in the first term, the DOJ was still independent enough that after the Comey firing, you had an Attorney General Sessions who named a special counsel. That's how we got Mueller, who fought off Trump efforts to intervene. They weren't just indicting Trump's opponents left and right. So there was also a different time of independence, and Bannon had dealt with the Mueller probe, probably didn't want more legal heat. We would like to know, I think, an investigative question. If you've got these people under oath, and we have a lot more documents coming potentially, is Did Bannon do anything with that information? Did anyone ever say back to the Trump DOJ threats, or Epstein says he can get the best of you, can quote, wakes up in the middle of the night sweating, because as he said in another email, he was the only one who could take Trump down.
Okay, Janet.
So that's some of what is striking about why a sex trafficker with this much of a problem was working so closely with a Trump ally who has only further ingratiated himself. Bannon, since that time with the War Room and his ties to Trump officials, is seen as a Maga voice, even though him and Trump, they patched it up to some degree. I'm not suggesting that they were ever as close as they were in 2016, so that's the Bannon of it all. If you're watching this video and you say, okay, got that, good, fine. I am going to use this time as a breakdown because I like to go deeper here with you guys, and I've read some of the YouTube comments. You guys can always subscribe for my YouTube in these breakdowns. I read some of you saying, hey, let's go deeper and longer. This is a place to do it, right? And important stuff. So I mentioned these 5 topics. I'm just going to start with a couple and say that what you get from the Epstein files will depend on how hard the Congress pushes across these categories. And so while people say, oh, everything will be redacted, they'll give over nothing, this and that, given the pressure they're under, the bipartisan pressure, and how Trump wants this to go away, that would be an extreme defiance that would immediately have problems for them in court. A middle ground might be, hey, we're giving you this, but not that, or we're giving you this now, we need more time for that, etc. And so when I mention these buckets, they are topical, but they're also how lawyers ultimately may be litigating this in court between these branches of government would look at something like this. The first case I mentioned is very old. It's when Epstein was accused in Florida, and then he got a deal that was so flawed that later a judge ruled that it was illegal, that the way the government prosecutors then in the Bush-era DOJ had struck the deal and hid it from survivors, broke rules, didn't create a new crime, but broke the legal rules, broke the law about the protections that survivors get in these situations. In other cases, they have what's called a victim impact statement. Victims in our justice system have legal recognition, sometimes about sentencing, sometimes about being heard, sometimes about being held anonymous. You've probably heard about that. And so that's how bad the deal was. And so it would be very hard, I will tell you, for the DOJ to say, oh, that closed case about this dead guy from 2006 can't possibly be disclosed. And I don't think a judge would look kindly to that. And that questions there don't just touch on, say, a lot of the recent issues around Epstein's crimes and Donald Trump, but also what was, according to many, a corrupted system. Alex Acosta, the controversial prosecutor later rewarded by Trump, put in his cabinet. Ken Starr was a big figure, now deceased, who was I've interviewed him as well, and he was, of course, the special counsel who went after the Clinton impeachment era. Epstein hired him as a high-priced lawyer who had these Republican DOJ connections. And so you want to look at those files and figure out whether everyone, no matter how terrible you think they are, even accused murderers, get legal representation, even if they can't afford it. People know about that, right? It's the Constitution, the movies, the rest of it. But whether these lawyers or anyone around them went farther than the legal representation and pulled strings or had any malfeasance, threat, or otherwise, given that Trump's own cabinet members, Cabinet Member Lutnick, talking about this, that's a big question. So that's a category where I would say the legal hook to get that material is strong. The arguments against it are weak. It's the old case. And the results may not endanger the way some people look at this, oh, only the current president, although we don't know, but the history at the DOJ. The second category is the obvious big one, all of Epstein's conduct and crimes. And I would say the legal rationale to get that is high. The arguments against it are stronger than the first one, because while Pam Bondi famously announced that there was nothing else to investigate because they already looked into it, nothing related to future other cases against people nor blackmail, she then reversed herself. So you could go to court and a judge could say, no, you already said these are closed cases, turn it over. The law, which has now been written by Congress, signed by this president, is to turn it over. Another judge might say, well, if it is an open case, there's a lot of precedent that says you don't turn stuff over in the middle of an open case. And which stuff, of course, is a whole other convo. And so I would say, again, getting into the detail, that is important, but it is potentially a little harder to get. That relates to category 3, which is other people. The emails are kind of scattershot, and some of it makes people look really bad, but legally, that doesn't mean they committed a crime, and you need wider evidence and fact-finding. Emails also are arbitrary. It's just a certain period of time that the estate had to hand it over. We have every reason to believe that the government at the DOJ has far more than the Epstein estate. The Epstein estate just has what this individual, up until his death, had, and the lawyers there, as we saw, appeared to cooperate. They turned over materials. That's how you got the birthday card and these emails, but that's, again, arbitrary. Whether there's other material that Epstein, for example, had already deleted or erased, physical evidence, if there's videos, metadata, flight logs, other things that aren't just in the estate tranche that the DOJ has that could show in a much more comprehensive way other people. And it may be, in all fairness, and lawyers look at this all the time, that something looks bad, but they couldn't charge it. So then the public will look at it and say, why didn't you charge it? And that's one of the reasons why, historically, the law generally favors confidentiality for people who were investigated and not charged. Indeed, if you think back over the last few years, different cases and James Comey and all that, that topic has come up a lot. But remember, that's just the law. Congress, spurred only by public pressure, has decided that there's a different balance here, that the law now, unlike most cases where if you're investigated and they don't charge you're confidential, this one is of such high import that Congress is taking a different approach. We have a different law now. That's different than last week. And I gotta tell you, I'm obviously involved in reporting on this and interested in it, but it's pretty striking to think that the public pressure did lead to the demands for transparency. You just have to play it out.
Dickhead. Yeah, before I put your ass out, wrong Barack. The Barack you talking about was the prime minister of pro-Israel. You understand? So just your daddy. Yeah, that's your daddy. Like I said, wrong Barack. Now get your ass out of here. Bye. Say bye to Dick Folk Punk. Yeah. Get your little messy, pickle sucking ass on up out of here. Wrong. They would have said Obama. No. Yeah, wrong person. Yeah, and to take your fake news, messy ass on up out of here and go on let Trump to dump the pickle suck. Yeah, what your name? Yeah. I couldn't get back in here fast enough to tell your ass out. Let's go.
So those are 3 of the categories. The next category I want to get into is a whole subject unto itself, which is the death and custody of Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm going to do that in a future video all by itself. I will read the comments. Again, you guys can subscribe to my YouTube if you guys have views or questions about what I'm calling these.
Okay, let's get to the next one. Yeah, I couldn't wait, baby. I couldn't wait. But I think he came back while I've been having to sit here. Let me double check. Yeah, pick a lover. Trying to be messy. And wrong answer. It ain't cute when the dude do it no way. Okay, now. Let me hear this. He just popped up in here. Did it go off? Let me see what he say.
Planning to publish your book? You could
Y'all please double tap the face of your screen. Get the likes
You've
up.
written a book and you're thinking about publishing
Several
it,
people
you
have
to watch this video.
come
Hi, I'm
in
Sarah from
and did not
Now
tap.
he's pardoning Quayle, a Democrat. Why would he do that? Because Israel.
Double tap the face of your screen on your phone if that's how you're listening in. If you're on your computer, tablet, whatever device, hit the three dots at the top right corner. But I need for y'all to double tap if you're listening in on your phone. It's free. I ain't asked you for a dime yet. So double tap. I'm going to eject you up out of here.
Now he's pardoning Quayle, a Democrat. Why would he do that? Because Israel told him to do it. And he's Israel's bitch. That's why he did it. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Israel got Trump to pardon a Democrat.
Oh.
As the Republicans are set to lose control of the House, Marjorie Taylor Greene's leaving, a bunch of other ones are leaving. They're going to lose control of the House for sure.
Let's start that over.
Now he's pardoning Quayle, a Democrat. Why would he do that? Because Israel told him to do it. And he's Israel's bitch.
Yep, he said
That's why he did it. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Israel got Trump to pardon a Democrat. As the Republicans are set to lose control of the House, Marjorie Taylor Greene's leaving, a bunch of other ones are leaving. They're going to lose control of the House for sure. And he's now making sure and if Cuellar wasn't there, a Republican would take his seat. Trump is making sure the Democrats hold that seat. Why would he do that? Israel told him.
Well, why would Israel tell him?
Trump is pardoning another criminal, but this time before he's even convicted. He's doing what Joe Biden did with Fauci and those guys. He's pardoning them before they even got a trial.
Oh, wow.
This time it's a Democrat. So there it is, Trump's announcement of a pardon for Representative Henry Cuellar of Texas. It's wild for several reasons. Let's watch this. This comes from CBS News. It is wild for many reasons. I wonder how long. Well, let's watch.
Breaking news into the newsroom. The president has just announced a
Hold on, y'all. Can y'all hear now? Can y'all hear?
Well, let's watch.
Breaking news into the newsroom. The president has just announced a pardon for Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar. Break that down for me.
This is surprising for several reasons. Let me just list them in order. First of all, pardons are typically for people who've already been convicted in their cases, made some restitution, acknowledged their guilt, tried to make atonement for it. Henry Cuellar hasn't even gone on trial yet. I mean, typically, that's for a jury to decide whether somebody should be absolved or found guilty. In this case, the president, as you see from that truth, absolved or found guilty. In this case, the president, as you see from that Truth Social post.
By the way, nothing says I'm innocent more than being pardoned before your trial. It's like getting someone to sign a prenup on your first date.
I'd like to have a trial with a prenup, personally.
Yeah.
Has pardoned Henry Cuellar before the case even went to a jury, before it even went to trial. Henry Cuellar is a Democrat from Texas in a uniquely competitive district where the argument could be made Henry Cuellar, despite this legal matter, could be the only Democrat who could hold that seat. He's now been absolved and can safely run for re-election for the Democrats next year. The third issue here is this is a significant case. This is not jaywalking. Henry Cuellar is accused of acting as an illegal foreign agent on behalf of Azerbaijan while serving in the U.S. Congress, engaging in a bribery scheme along with his wife, who also appears to have been issued clemency.
So Henry Cuellar was taking bribes from a foreign country, Azerbaijan, which sounds bad, sure, but you have to understand, Azerbaijan is the strategic energy partner of Israel.
Oh, well, then he's a good guy.
So he's a hero.
Yeah.
So Trump got that's what this is about. Trump got this. So that's what we're going to find out later. a lot of why Trump is going into Venezuela has to do with Israel. And now he's pardoning Cuellar, a Democrat. Why would he do that? Because Israel told him to do it. And he's Israel's bitch. That's why he did it. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Israel got Trump to pardon a Democrat. As the Republicans are set to lose control of the House, Marjorie Taylor Greene's leaving, a bunch of other ones are leaving. They're going to lose control of the House for sure. And he's now making sure and if Cuellar wasn't there, a Republican would take his seat. Trump is making sure the Democrats hold that seat. Why would he do that? Israel told him.
Right. You don't get to know what the real parties are, ever.
That's right.
You see the name Imelda Cuellar on that Truth Social post. She was his co-defendant. Henry Cuellar's co-defendant in the case. That case now ends in the Southern District of Texas, where Henry Cuellar represents.
Really curious.
Really curious. I love that understatement by the news
Is
person.
he? I mean, it took me 3 seconds to look up the thing about Azerbaijan and Israel. You couldn't look it up? You're not that curious.
Of course, they're not going to tell you that, right?
Yeah.
So the CBS News is not going to tell you that, oh, yeah, he was actually working with Azerbaijan, which is a strategic energy partner with Israel.
Yeah, you know, Armenians are being killed by Azerbaijan now, and famously, like, that's where it's all that pipeline shit, you know, where they had to make sure that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just that.
Yes. So here's how CNN reported it. In 24, Cuellar and his wife were charged with accepting $600,000 in bribes from 2 foreign entities in an alleged scheme that took place from late 2014 through at least November 2021, according to the indictment. Cuellar has denied any wrongdoing. Trump's Truth Social post announcing the pardon included images of a letter from the Cuellar's daughters last month asking the president for compassion and clemency for their parents. Are you effing kidding me? What? And okay. Anyway, President Donald Trump, this guy sounds like a real Eric Adams anyway. It said,
Yeah.
President Donald Trump announced Wednesday he's issuing a full and unconditional pardon to Texas Democrat Representative Henry Cuellar and his wife, Imelda, using a lengthy social media post to accuse the Biden administration of targeting political opponents, even within his own party. One of the clearest examples of this was when Crooked Joe used the FBI and the Department of Justice to take out a member of his own party after highly respected Congressman
Crooked
Henry
Joe.
Cuellar bravely spoke out against open borders and the Biden border catastrophe. So that's how he's trying to sell this to his supporters.
Yeah. And you know what? It might be because of that, but the guy's corrupt. You're never getting someone not corrupt. You're getting my gang's corruption is okay, and your gang's corruption is not okay.
Henry, I don't know you, but you can sleep well tonight. Your nightmare is finally over, Trump continued. Responding to the pardon on X, Cuellar thanked Trump for his tremendous leadership and for taking the time to look at facts. The pardon gives us a clean slate. The noise is gone. The work remains, and I intend to meet it head on. And I can't wait to start spending that $600,000, eh?
Yeah. The bottom line is he did it, but I'm sure Biden was persecuting him, but Trump's going to overlook the bribery thing because it's a political opponent. He's not going to punish, by the way, Biden or Comey or any of these people.
Right?
They're not gonna
None of those people. Fauci, none of those. They're not. None of those. None of
There's
those.
no jail time coming. Bannon was wrong about that one, huh?
What's that? What did he say?
Bannon was like, "Oh, people better get ready for jail time." Remember, everyone was Google searching painless self-ending methods and getting a lawyer because they thought there was going to be some retribution when Trump got in, and nothing happened.
Are you researching dental implants?
There's a lot of dental offices that'll talk about doing their teeth in a day process. A lot of times what they mean is they'll do the surgery and give you some sort of teeth the next day, but those teeth are not permanent teeth. They're temporary teeth that you wear while you're healing.
In the old way, you would get a set of acrylic or temporary material teeth that get screwed right onto the implants.
In reality, you're getting, let's say, a converted denture. These small-to-day teeth that you get too, they're made with dentures. It's basically plastic. It's going to break.
I need for y'all to get the lights up.
Permanent teeth in 24 hours.
24 hours after my...
I'm trying to be
The
nice.
11-term congressman who filed for re-election Wednesday as a Democrat has been likely to face a competitive re-election in a Trump-won district that Republicans are targeting, making the president's pardon a puzzling move as his party tries to defend its majority in 20. He's doing this because as Kurt found out, I'm telling you, this is because of Israel. When
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense, it's because of Israel. When Trump says Biden shouldn't be bombing Yemen, that we could solve this with a phone call, and then Trump bombs Yemen, the first thing he does when he gets in office, it's because of Israel.
They solved it with a phone call. Hey, Trump, bomb Yemen.
That's right. That's right. Asked Wednesday at Cuellar if he'll change parties. He says, no, like I said, nothing has changed. And Cuellar said he did not cut a deal with the White House to earn the pardon. No, it came from Israel. No, he told, the congressman said he didn't know that it was coming, adding that he would go to a White House Christmas party next week and would thank the president personally. Maybe bring him a nice new ballroom gift, if you know what I'm talking about, right? New ballroom warning, you got $600,000 laying around. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries also dismissed questions about whether the congressman would leave the party. Henry Cuellar is a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus.
Oh, well, clearly.
And I expect, so when him and Trump, just like what George Carlin said, when it's bipartisan, you know there's some real fuckery coming your way.
Well, Hakeem Jeffries loves Israel, and he
That's
does his
exactly
famous
right.
rapping speeches. That's how, to me, that cements it.
That
When he
cements
goes,
it.
he's highly valued. Yes, by Israel.
Okay. Republicans have been eyeing Cuellar's Texas seat, and they look to pick up seats next year. He's targeted by a new map Texas Republicans drew this year, which is currently in limbo, awaiting a ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. But the congressman has been remarkably resilient, surviving primary challenges from the left and continuing to win in southern Texas, even as Republicans have made gains with Latino voters, and the area has become less friendly to Democrats overall. In 24, Cuellar won by 5.6 points, even as Trump won his district by 7 points. The new version of Cuellar's district would have voted for Trump by more than 10 points. However, the new map also shifts some areas back into Cuellar's district that he had represented before the state's 2021 redistricting. Cuellar was first elected in 2004. He's among the most conservative Democrats in the House. He's long opposed abortion rights and has advocated for tougher border security. Cuellar voted Wednesday that he'd beat the far left in a primary. If they want to spend another $20 million, we'll win it. But this is a conservative district, and I'm going to win it. Okay, so here's Pamela Brown. House Minority Leader Representative Jeffries tells me that, with Blitzer, that President Trump's decision to pardon Democratic Representative Henry Cuellar was exactly the right outcome.
Yeah, Israel told him it's right, so it's good.
So, by the way, nowadays being conservative means you work for Azerbaijan. That's what being a conservative is?
Anybody Israel tells you, you just do it, buddy.
Okay, watch this.
President Trump has announced a pardon of the Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar and his wife, who were charged with bribery. What's your response?
Well, Congressman Cuellar is a beloved member of the House of Representatives, loved in his community, particularly in Laredo. I've had the opportunity to spend time with him down in Laredo in South Texas. I look forward to that moving forward. Listen, the reality is this indictment was very thin to begin with, in my view. The charges were eventually going to be dismissed, if not at the trial court level by the Supreme Court, as they've repeatedly done in instances just like this.
So just to follow up on that, do you agree?
So why do you think Joe Biden's Justice Department prosecuted him, a sitting congressman in the Democratic Party? That's not your follow-up question? No, let's listen.
With the president's pardon here, do you think that was a good thing then?
I don't know why the president decided to do this. I think the outcome was exactly the right outcome.
Well, Congressman Cuellar, we should note, is one of a handful of House Democrats who sits in a district President Trump won in 2024. So now he has this presidential pardon. Have you had any conversations with the congressman about him potentially switching to the Republican Party?
I think Congressman Cuellar is a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus, and I expect that he'll continue to remain a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus.
What about re-election plans? Has he informed you of that?
Oh, they're trying to do a
I think the filing
switcheroo.
deadline in Texas is upcoming in the next few days.
Are they trying to do
Many
a
of the members
switcheroo?
of the Texas congressional
He filed.
delegation have yet to file for re-election. I expect that we'll see that happen in advance.
Congressman in the Democratic Party. That's not your follow-up question? No, let's listen.
With the president's pardon here, do you think that was a good thing then?
I don't know why the president decided to do this. I think the outcome was exactly the right outcome.
Congressman Cuellar, we should note, is one of a handful of House Democrats who sits in a district President Trump won in 2024. So now he has this presidential pardon. Have you had any conversations with the congressman about him potentially switching to the Republican Party?
I think Congressman Cuellar is a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus, and I expect that he'll continue to remain a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus.
What about re-election plans? Has he informed you of that?
No, I think the filing deadline in Texas is upcoming in the next few days. Many of the members of the Texas congressional delegation have yet to file for re-election. I expect that we'll see that happen in advance of the Monday deadline.
Did he file? That's interesting. Y'all get the likes up.
Was exactly the right outcome.
Yeah, Israel told him it's right, so it's good.
So, by the way, nowadays being conservative means you work for Azerbaijan. That's what being a conservative
Anybody Israel tells you, you just do it, buddy.
Okay, watch this.
My energy bill dropped from $150 to $50 by doing this. My friends laughed at me when I spent $49 on a power saver device that could cut my energy bill in half. They thought
President Trump has announced a pardon of the Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar and his wife, who were charged with bribery. What's your response?
Well, Congressman Cuellar is a beloved member of the House of Representatives, loved in his community, particularly in Laredo. I've had the opportunity to spend time with him down in Laredo in South Texas. I look forward to that moving forward. Listen, the reality is this indictment was very thin to begin with, in my view. The charges were eventually going to be dismissed, if not at the trial court level by the Supreme Court, as they've repeatedly done in instances just like this.
So just to follow up on that, do you agree?
So why do you think Joe Biden's Justice Department prosecuted him, a sitting congressman in the Democratic Party? That's not your follow-up question? No, let's listen.
With the president's pardon here, do you think that was a good thing then?
I don't know why the president decided to do this. I think the outcome was exactly the right outcome.
Congressman Cuellar, we should note, is one of a handful of House Democrats who sits in a district President Trump won in 2024. So now he has this presidential pardon. Have you had any conversations with the congressman about him potentially switching to the Republican Party?
I think Congressman Cuellar is a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus, and I expect that he'll continue to remain a highly valued member of the House Democratic Caucus.
What about re-election plans? Has he informed you of that?
No, I think the filing deadline in Texas is upcoming in the next few days. Many of the members of the Texas congressional delegation have yet to file for re-election. I expect that we'll see that happen in advance of the Monday deadline.
So that's the leader of the Democrats in the House. That's why I showed you that. He's the leader.
He's a real Joe Lieberman.
He's a real,
Cuellar.
Trump pardons Democrat Henry Cuellar, who was indicted on bribery and money laundering charges. Cuellar sold out his district for $600,000 in bribes from a foreign government. Bribery and corruption is what both parties do best, and this pardon will only encourage more of it. And by the way, here's all the criminals that Trump has pardoned. With the pardon of Representative Henry Cuellar, who had been accused of bribery and corruption, President Trump has now pardoned 12 members of Congress, 10 Republicans and 2 Democrats. All but Cuellar had been convicted. So all these people had been convicted: insider trading, campaign corruption, lying to the FBI, extortion, bribery, tax evasion, corruption. They've all were convicted. Trump pardoned all of them because he wants you to know that crime does pay.
Wow.
Well, some of them, the Rod Blagojevich, I know there's some argument as to whether he should have been convicted. It could have been lawfare, but the point is,
let that be us.
Never know the real reason any of this happened.
That's right.
That's the main thing.
Here's Nick Cruz, who was just on with us, says Donald Trump pardons corrupt Democrat Henry Cuellar. The two-party system is a scam. We have a uniparty where the capitalist elite keeps sending a loud message that they are above the law. Exactly.
But it's law and order.
Sucks Clinton's dick, and that's real.
What? What'd he say? What's real? What's real?
That they are above the law. Exactly.
That's how you know Trump sucked Clinton's dick, and that's real.
Oh my! One more time for the one time.
Here's Nick Cruz, who was just on with us, says Donald Trump pardons corrupt Democrat Henry Cuellar. The two-party system is a scam. We have a uniparty where the capitalist elite keeps sending a loud message that they are above the law. Exactly.
That's how you know Trump sucked Clinton's dick, and that's real.
You want to hear?
Is there any better illustration of the one-party system than Trump blowing Bill Clinton and not putting Hillary in jail, like he said?
Didn't put Hillary in jail.
Yeah.
If you want to hear my jokes about that, come see me this Saturday in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. I'll see you January 11th in Waikiki, Hawaii, or January 30th
It's
in Los Angeles.
Picklegate. I've been telling you.
Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
It is
you go anywhere else, you're gonna pay
Picklegate.
more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. See you there. Come see me on tour in Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
I don't know why they
Waikiki,
still
Hawaii,
trying
and
to act like they don't know who
Bubba
Bubba is. We know who Bubba is. Bubba is Billy. Billy Goat. Billy. Hold on. Oh, wow. Hold on. I'm waiting on y'all to get the likes up. I'll move a little faster if the likes was up. What is Bannon's secret? Let me hear this. What is the deal?
Evidently, Steve Bannon's viewers, some of them at least, have finally reached a line past which they do not want to follow him, and it has to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, if you've been paying attention to this, you know that Steve Bannon, it turns out, we now know, apparently had a pretty cozy relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
They were booty buddies.
And was even working after we knew everything we needed to know about Jeffrey Epstein.
They were booty buddies.
Have finally reached a line past which they do not want to follow him, and it has to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, if you've been paying attention to this, you know that Steve Bannon, it turns out, we now know, apparently had a pretty cozy relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and was even working after we knew everything we needed to know about Jeffrey Epstein. Steve Bannon was working in secret to try to rehabilitate his image. Steve Bannon was trying to rehabilitate the image of one of the most notorious child predators in American history. And a lot of right-wingers are evidently fine with this, but some are like, hey, this seems to go against everything we've been saying. And especially when they found out that he did this really long taped interview with Epstein, and he's just been sitting on the tapes. Some of his viewers are like, hey, could we
He gonna be
see
50
that?
Cent.
Like, why did you talk to
He
this
gonna do
guy,
50
this
Cent.
elite predator, and you don't want
Like
us to
50
see it?
did,
That seems a little bit weird. And
did he? That's what
in
Bannon gonna
reporting,
do.
A lot of it's summed up by Media Matters about the communications between Bannon and Epstein. There are emails between the two men in which Epstein weighed in on Trump cabinet officials, writing, quote, getting rid of Powell, much more important than Syria or Mattis. I guess Pompeo, only one left, and Mnuchin is okay. See, they're just chatting about politics or whatever, you know, a massive grifter and a sexual predator, just having a little bit of fun talking about politics. In others, Epstein gave Bannon advice on interviews and provided talking points for an economic conference at which the former Trump strategist was speaking. There's also this, by the way. This is my favorite one. A few days before the exchange, in which Epstein appeared to have arranged a charter jet for Bannon, Epstein said, how does it feel to have the most highly paid travel agent in history? Bannon thanked him. You are pretty good assistant, I think that's supposed to be. To which Epstein replied, massages not included.
Oh, wow.
You get it? You get it? Because of the sexual assault of minors?
Wow.
That's what he's referencing. I love a good reference. I love reference comedy.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's topical, too. And Steve Bannon would get it, you know.
Oh, wow.
To which Epstein replied, massages not included. You get it? You get it? Because of
my mouth open,
Epstein
y'all.
said, how does it feel to have the most highly paid travel agent in history? Bannon thanked him. You are pretty good assistant, I think that's supposed to be. To which Epstein
y'all
replied, massages not included.
I see why he's saying
You get it?
if they don't win the election, he's going to prison.
That's what he's referencing. I love a good reference. I love reference comedy. And that's topical, too. And Steve Bannon would get it, you know, because at this point we knew that Epstein was a massive rapist of children. So that's the... You need to know that to get the joke, JR, just in case you didn't get it. I don't know if Bannon laughed, but he evidently kept up the relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and
because they don't feel like
his
that
viewers
is...
are mad. One tweeted, so Steve advising Epstein how to sugarcoat his depravities. I've been watching Steve for 6 hours per day since 2020. I'm so done with the Maga whisperer. Hypocrisy is not only Democrats' disease. That's good for you, Sean. Also, it'll free up some time for you, dear.
Wow.
Was Steve Bannon making 6 hours of content a day? Jeez, no wonder his body is decayed. Dude, take a break. Look up wellness. Anyway, Spring said, this is something I would very much like Bannon, my strategy guru, to answer. I know he does his own thing and literally talks to most, but what's with Epstein? What was he hoping to gain? And another person said, I'm a Trump voter and supporter, but Bannon, you're a fat pedo lover. You defending Epstein is disgraceful. So look, I wish that was the majority. He shouldn't have an audience, JR. When it's revealed that you're chit-chatting with Epstein, how
guess
are any
what?
of them still supporting him? What do you think?
He a pedo lover
this
too.
whole thing of talking to anyone, which one of the people tried to go ahead and write off. I mean, I know he talks to everyone. I know we have our expanse.
My strategy guru to answer. I know he does his own thing and literally talks to most, but what's with Epstein? What was he hoping to gain? And another person said, I'm a Trump voter and supporter, but Bannon, you're a fat pedo lover. You defending Epstein is disgraceful. So look, I wish that was the majority. He shouldn't have an audience, JR. When it's revealed that you're chit-chatting with Epstein, how are any of them still supporting him? What do you think?
They can't even go with this whole thing of talking to anyone, which one of the people tried to go ahead and write off. I mean, I know he talks to everyone. I know we have our expansive conversations with murderers, rapists, and child sex traffickers, but mentioning massages maybe crosses the line. Their brains are really pushing the limits. Like, I'm totally cornered. It's a dark, deep corner of following these guys for 6 hours a day. By the way, John, I go for my stuff more than 6 hours a day. I'm like, man, I'm so tired of listening to this guy, JR. I wish I didn't have to edit him any further. But still, these guys
these people
finally,
are
I mean,
crazy.
it's a slight turn, and as long as you distract them by tomorrow, they'll forget about that slight turn that they had. You know, the issue they have with child sex traffickers and mentions of massages. Don't forget, really fast, Steve Bannon's the same guy who was on stage talking to a bunch of supporters and was basically worried about upcoming elections. If we lose this midterm election, if we lose any other presidential elections, I'm going to prison, he says. I'm going to prison, along with 4 other guys that he's got to mention because they're criminals. You know what, John? I remember when I was in support of any other presidential candidate winning, and I was talking to friends. I didn't say, man, I'll tell you what, if Obama doesn't win re-election, I'm going to prison. Obama doesn't win re-election, I'm going to prison. I'll tell you what, if Obama doesn't win re-election, I'm going to prison.
We never had that problem. Never.
Man, I'll tell you what, if Obama doesn't win re-election, I'm going to prison.
Who says that? A pedo.
Yeah, you did say that a lot. It was starting to get weird near the end there. Yeah, that's true. Okay, I'm going to end with this. I'm going to pose a hypothetical. Don't get triggered, Mark Wayne Mullen. It's just a hypothetical. Let's say you found out that I had been engaging in a long-going online conversation with Bill Cosby.
Oh.
And Bill Cosby at one point was like, hey, John, so we're going to go clubbing. Bring your own pills. Please tell me you would stop watching the show.
Yeah, it's an ethical thing. I mean, it's moral and character. It's like, no. I cannot entertain it. I will not. I just can't.
Has anybody gone out and like attempted to sort of unwind or pull on the thread of any of the names that were working in the staff? Like, I would imagine there's got to be like NDAs, but you know, the guy's dead, and unless there's some like, why wouldn't you, even if you got paid off, which I would imagine they all got paid quite well, you would imagine that one of them would speak unless they were afraid of, like, there being some other way of, being some other mechanism to punish them for speaking out about it.
Yeah, there have been some limited sort of reporting of people who work with him, security people, assistants, people who worked on staff at his mansion.
Are they
It has
talking?
not been very substantive. Some of them have passed away, like, natural causes, I guess. But
did they talk?
It's been what I've called kind of a limited hangout a little bit. That's a term people may know. That's intelligence term. There've been like a little bit of reporting about all these things, but the thread has never fully unraveled the whole way. And it's not always clear how much any one individual may have known about this situation.
How could they not know?
That was a really important point. Like take the one aspect of sex trafficking that Ghislaine was involved in. There were people who knew about that, and the people on the staff who testified that they cleaned up at his mansion after these, abuses took place and so forth. Again, I don't know how Epstein learned how to do that, or decide to integrate that into his larger apparatus. One thing that does go back to Robert Maxwell, and beyond that, is the ties to BCCI. Because that bank, BCCI, which was this notorious global money laundering institution, they were very well known for sex trafficking. And they would traffic girls from Asia and South Asia to the Middle East, and that was part of their money laundering apparatus. It seemed like there's a class of people all around the world who were involved in this type of activity, whom Robert Maxwell was an integral part. And then by some means, it seems, though, that Epstein inherited. And this would just be a natural thing that they knew to do, or they knew that their clients, whoever they were, would demand this, or political expediency would demand this. And he just sort of was able to fulfill that role, given who he was and his connections were and so forth. So, it's interesting because there are people who talk about this, and a lot of this stuff is public, and we are getting some disclosures about this. There's our reporting, there's a House Oversight Committee, and victims of sex trafficking has testified. Members of the staff has testified in the past. But it doesn't really, the whole thing does never get put together. Even these emails that are coming out right now, they're really interesting, but they're all like individual, shotgun-like blasts in different directions. And the whole thing is not really put together in a cohesive whole. There are really shocking, implications in many of the emails, and shocking implications of things people have said in the past too. But what does it all add up to? That's the question which has not really been fully answered.
What from the email trove of Ehud Barak was the
there you go, Ehud Barak.
I mean, was it a series of stuff?
Somebody hear Barak and run with it, don't they?
And it feels like that could have been like a rolling experience of how is Epstein?
Let's say the name again so they won't be saying she's trying to protect Barak. No.
Oh my God. Wait, what?
Ehud Barak.
It feels like that could have been like a rolling experience of how is Epstein dealing with the Russians in Syria, and then also going to Mongolia, and it's just bizarre. But what did you find most sort of surprising or shocking?
Well, it's interesting because the emails are all there, and anyone can look at them, but it's not obvious what are being said in the emails per se, because this is like a snapshot of a particular time in both men's lives. It doesn't account for when they first met. It doesn't account for, it's like you're enjoying the story mid-conversation in a way.
Right, but that ain't
so
the illegal part.
Putting together the thread of what they're talking about in each of these cases that, you come to some revelation that something very significant was happening here. So it takes a lot of time to look at them to actually determine that. It's definitely doable. It's just, it's an investment of resources and so forth, which I guess is a barrier to just reporting them easily. It's not like low-hanging fruit per se, even though they are available. But, I think it's fascinating the casualness of all this, actually, in a way, because, one would think that back-channel diplomatic conversations were handled through some sort of quasi-official channels and so forth. It was really often just certain individuals who were very plugged in, who were part of these elites organically, who arranged these talks, which Epstein was doing for Barak in many, many parts of the world. But I think that it's not shocking, but the most revealing email in there is
that's why people think they're talking about Barack Obama.
Will continue quoting because it kind of tells the whole story in a way. It's one where Epstein just emailed Barack out of the blue, seemingly. They just chatted very often with their friends. And he said, all over the world, in Somalia and Syria and Ukraine and all these places, there are this great upheaval, and people in power are very insecure and afraid. Isn't this perfect for you? And Barack responds, yes, but it's not easy to turn into a cash flow, something for us to discuss on Saturday. So it seemed like the two of them were looking at the map of the world. Epstein had contacts pretty much everywhere, saying who's insecure, who needs help that we can provide them or sell them, and then using Barack as the guy who would go do the pitch with Epstein's encouragement. So I think that email sort of is distilling the broader little operation they were running.
I wonder why they don't say former Prime Minister of Israel, Barack.
And also further insecurity interests of certain states, and particularly in this case, Israel.
It's hard because this stuff really sort of pulls at that thing in your brain where you just want to go to the most sort of conspiratorial thing. But the way I saw that email, I mean, it's in your pieces, obviously, but it really feels to me like that is Epstein trying to get him on the hook. The idea of there's a lot of opportunity out there for you, buddy. And Barack is yeah, I know, but I can't make it happen. It sort of feels like that's Epstein's way of saying, well, I can help you make it happen. Mm-hmm. And then, there's this and this and this. And
debate.
And Barack, we should say, it's heavily implied in Virginia Giuffre's, I believe, accounts that he might have been the prime minister that assaulted her.
Right.
That's
very
accurate,
abusive.
Right?
Yeah, there's nothing about that in the emails per se, but I have seen that reporting, and I did see her statements about that.
That's in her book.
Prime Minister did that. I think the New York Post heavily implied it was him. I don't have any definitive information about that.
He was very
just to say how interwoven, all these financial dynamics are with the sex trafficking too. Sorry,
but I would imagine that's part of it. It's we're in this, dude. We go hang out. We go to the strip club together on a regular basis.
Thanks to the female to make sure we understood who it was.
Dynamic where it's we're all in on this, and it does. Him emailing Barack out of the blue and saying there's a lot of opportunity out there seems solicitous to me in some way.
You right, naturally, Norman.
Yeah. So this is 2014. So they'd already known each other and been close for some years now, and they'd already done the deal or initiated the deal with Mongolia and Cote d'Ivoire, at least at this point, and other countries as well too.
One thing is for sure. If Trump had anything on President Barack Obama, we would have heard it by now. The best he can do is wear out Biden in the bubble who dick he's up. Oh, Lord, I said it out loud.
So they, to Emma's point, it's a really important point because all these communications, they don't talk about the sex trafficking aspect at all, so far as I've seen. But that's a subtext. We know it's happening. We know it's been going on.
That trafficking came from Trump.
He'd been convicted many, many years before that, the first time for that. So it's something which is the unspoken sort of additional layer in this onion that's it does implicate the broader it suggests it broader meaning behind the communications. And Epstein, if you look at the way he talks to different people, he talks to everyone sort of in a different way, so to speak. He kind of tells them not what they want to hear per se, but he would sort of project a certain image back at them, which was conducive to what their interests were, their desires were, and so forth. He definitely has a markedly different communication style with different types of people. So, it makes sense that in Barack's case, he helped make Barack a very wealthy person. And I think these emails show the whole process of that happening in a way. And, Barack, he had certain political inclination, he had desire to make money, he had other things going on maybe, and just communicated with Epstein. Epstein seems to advance the knowledge of all that and how to continue to get him along that process.
lastly, did it occur to you, like reading these emails, like, what is this dude doing, using Gmail for all this? Like it's sort of like that's the other thing. It's like
That was a long time ago.
they're doing all this over like CompuServe or AOL. It just seems so like Epstein feels like he doesn't have to worry about anybody finding this stuff out because
I see it was intel.
there's almost a sense of like, who are they going to report me to? Like,
Right. It's a sense of what I keep thinking of as they talking is that show, that movie Catch Me If You Can, where he just felt like he could disguise himself and move around like he just was not catchable or touchable. And then guess who hired him? Who hired him once they finally caught him? Who hired him? For intel. That's who it reminds me of. Catch Me If You Can.
I'm untouchable. It sort of feels like he
Well, that was the lesson he also got out of 2007 non-prosecution agreement.
Right.
Was like just basically I am untouchable, right?
Mhm.
That would make sense and line up with this timeline, right?
Yeah, I think there was a great sense of impunity reigning at that time. Not to say that they whined and wanted to read his emails or thought maybe it was not possible, but given the 2008 agreement, given a lot of things, and given the way he lived and the people around him lived, I don't think that they felt necessarily a great fear from the public or fear from accountability of any sort. So it's not just him who was using the Gmail, like Barack was using Gmail, and other very powerful people, Americans and others, were using like AOL and Hotmail and so forth. This is 2014, 13, around that time, and these people from an older generation who may have been less acclimated at the time to the whole concept and so forth. But it was very cavalier. And I think if you look at the later communications, especially the House disclosures, which are more recent in time, 2019, 2018, like that, he does seem to become a bit more cagey. And he says more often that certain things should only be discussed on the phone and so forth. But he still uses Gmail. He's still using that to communicate with these very powerful people. So, that's a
and we should say this is after, like, it's not like, like Petraeus got, I think he was, I don't know if he was convicted, but he was prosecuted because, they found that he was doing that draft thing with the Gmail, where I think it was his girlfriend / reporter who was writing about him. They would communicate by just sharing a Gmail account and writing back and forth just in drafts. So it was never actually even emailed out. And they still were able to find that. So it's not like, it's not like my dad going like, wait, what? They can look at AOL emails? Really? Like, the guy has some savvy. It's just as if he just thinks he has impunity on some level.
I think that sense of impunity kind of goes to, it's like a very important part of the whole story, because even the sex trafficking and the criminality and so forth, not just Epstein, but a lot of these people, they seem to believe that they were somehow above all sort of legality and morality and propriety and so forth. That's just the broader impression I get from their broader range of activities. Like even the use of an island and all the spectacularly illegal and immoral things that are going on there. It just seems like there's no way that anybody could possibly see what we're doing or stop us, or the idea of us being stopped is simply impossible. That's just a tremendous amount of hubris, I would say, which is in the emails, not just with Epstein, by the way, many, many other people. And when you get that level of hubris, you can make mistakes, and you can become cavalier in a way which could be injurious later on. That's what they seem to be operating as, though. And I would say that I get the impression that culture still exists. And maybe Epstein was taken down for some reason, but that broader global elite culture.
Now he over in Israel. They say living it up.
Very, very much prevalent. And, this is just one glimpse into it. And who knows what's going on right now.
I think at the end of the day, that is probably like the biggest takeaway from this is the sort of, there is a cohort of people living amongst us, but they're not living amongst us. They are operating under an entirely different set of rules.
Mm-hmm.
And it explains
underground, underworld, a different world.
Because I think, you know, more than anything else, at least in the context of the sex trafficking, these are not people who I think even contemplated the idea that, like, well, I'm doing sex trafficking. I mean, I think they were aware that they could break laws, and there's some emails from Epstein that suggest, you know, Dershowitz was getting information to see, like, what the specific laws were, but they clearly didn't look at these girls or women as, you know, as human beings. They were just, you know, these are all, and I think that across the board, it's like, we're humans, and everything else is just sort of like things for us to exploit in some fashion.
Their service. The females and kids were at their service. That's just bottom line. At their service. And like Trump mention, this type of stuff been going on for millions of years, is what he said. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to need for y'all to get the like up, or do I need to just end it? Trump is not. Sorry. Let me get to the girls.
Centrist corporate Democrats continue to make the case as to why they lost general elections to an absolute moron that is a sex offender, an adjudicated rapist, a con artist, a terrible businessman, because they refuse to have moral.
Can you say that again?
Centrist corporate Democrats continue to make the case as to why they lost general elections to an absolute moron that is a sex offender, an adjudicated rapist, a con artist, a terrible businessman, because they refuse to have moral clarity. Here is Hilary Clinton at a conference for Israel that was funded by Miriam Adelson, okay? And Hillary Clinton is speaking so condescendingly to younger Jews. And I want to remind you, Miriam Adelson is a person that has spent tens of millions of dollars for Donald Trump to win. And when you see the centrist Democrats, Democratic Party superstars aligning with all of the MAGA super donors to defend genocide, it makes you understand how compromised the Democratic Party at the establishment level is. Play the clip.
Students, smart, well-educated young people from our own country, from around the world, where were they getting their information? They were getting their information from social media, particularly TikTok. That is where they were learning about what happened on October 7th, what happened in the days, weeks, and months to follow. That's a serious problem. It's a serious problem for democracy, whether it's Israel or the United States, and it's a serious problem for our young people. And it was frankly shocking to me how little the students we were encountering, not only in this class we teach, which is a very large class, international relations about crisis decision making, but students more generally. And that's why I mentioned the social media piece of it, because when you would try to talk to them to engage in some kind of reasonable discussion, it was very difficult because they did not know history, they had very little context, and what they were being told on social media was not just one-sided, it was pure propaganda. And so when you...
Okay, stop right there. For her to say while she's at a propaganda event funded by Miriam Adelson that somehow these students, it takes such a long time to explain to them that, oh, all of these kids can be executed and all of these civilians can be executed and all of these hospitals and schools and infrastructure where Hamas was nowhere around can be executed because you don't understand history. The level of condescension, the level of gaslighting, the lack of moral clarity is so abhorrent here. And I want to confess to every single person that watches this channel about my own evolution to an extent. Did y'all just hear that good stuff? In 2016, during the primaries, I voted for Hillary. And I had an option that I could have voted for Bernie Sanders. And I felt like I bought it.
Did y'all hear that good tea? Ooh, I was way in another room and I heard that good tea. Get the likes up so I can break down what we just heard for those who may not quite understand. That unity. UNITY. That pro-Israel unity. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With Hilary Clinton. Y'all, double tap the face of your screen if you're listening in on your phone device. Hurry up, please, before I forget what I just heard. Come on, double tap. Hit the like button. 3 dots at the top right will take you straight on over to the like button. Let's go. Because I just heard some good old tea. Do I need to back it? Did I back it up? With old Hilary. Y'all know who that Marion Medelstein, Edestein, Frankenstein, that female, that lady in Israel, when Trump was saying, oh, she's a 100 billionaire and she loves the U.S., she loves Israel. Which one do she love the best? Who do you love the best? Yeah, y'all remember that? So she's over there. They have a strategy. So now they reprogram and they trying to. She had the nerve, the gall, the audacity to say these kids don't know history. Well, why do they not know history? Hilary, huh? So now you finna rewrite history again, baby. Well, so let me ask you something, Hill. Since Trump was eating your husband out, did he eat you out too? He was sucking on him. Was he licking on you? What we doing? Huh? Yeah, so you're over. It's a Israel journey. That's the name of this. Yeah, so it was Israeli propaganda. You was pushing pro-Israel. And you're saying that these kids don't know history. Yeah, that's because y'all rewrote history. Y'all whitewashed it, see. And so somewhere they are getting, you said they're getting their information and they're being educated online. So y'all have this Israel journey that you're trying to retrain them. So you doing a new 2025 2020 on what is it, MK Ultra, mind manipulating you and that Marion Middleton lady on the code. That's what y'all doing. Yeah, see y'all gonna really have to get out there and talk now. See, y'all gonna really have to get out there and boots on the ground, heels on the ground. Yeah, thank you, Deetra, because Charlie, y'all had to take him out. He wasn't pushing the cause no more. He was asking too many questions. He allowed Candace Owens. Y'all had got him to get her out. Y'all had brainwashed him to remove Tucker and Candace. And then somehow or another, it slid back in. So y'all had to get y'all mouthpiece out, see. See, I was using him to manipulate the college folk, the young folk. Yeah. I see it. He was placed on college campuses to manipulate the mindset of the young people. Yeah, and call himself a devout Christian, which in his mind he was. And this may have just been a job. I quite don't know how to process that part of how it was so easy for y'all to manipulate a devout. Well, y'all do it all the time with the mega churches. Oh, okay. And then y'all are trafficking and doing all this illegal stuff through the churches as well. Funneling money, cleaning money. You know, the mega churches is another way of turning dirty money clean. Y'all do know that, right? So I get it now. I somewhat understand. Yeah. Now y'all gonna have to work or find a replacement that's just as good as y'all say. Cause Charlie was like he was one of y'all. You know, he got the special treatment. I mean, President Trump didn't, the National Guard, did he speak at her function? Did they fly the flag half staff? I mean, none of that. Okay, it's been a few people of importance, I would think. I mean, who is more important? Somebody who spoke on college campus, you know, or somebody who fought for the country? Oh, I'm asking too many questions. Oh, okay. Carry on. Carry on.
Well-educated Democratic Party superstars alongside. It makes you understand how compromised the Democratic Party at the establishment level
Money laundering through the
Play
church.
clip.
Absolutely.
Students, smart, well-educated young people from our own country, from around the world, where were they getting their information? They were getting their information from social media, particularly TikTok. That is where they were learning about what happened on October 7th, what happened in the days, weeks, and months to follow. That's a serious problem. It's a serious problem for democracy, whether it's Israel or the United States, and it's a serious problem for our young people.
So they trying to act like October 7th wasn't genocide? Huh? They want to act like, oh, October 7th is not about land? Oh, okay. Let's go.
And it was frankly shocking to me how little the students we were encountering, not only in this class we teach, which is a very large class, international relations about crisis.
So they have a whole class on this journey, a large class, where they are reprogramming these young people so that TikTok won't have to educate them. And so they can see these political parties who would definitely not steer them in the wrong direction. Okay.
Decision making, but students more generally. And that's why I mentioned the social media piece of it, because when you would try to talk to them to engage in some kind of reasonable discussion, it was very difficult because they did not know history. They had very little context. And what they were being told on social media was not just one-sided, it was pure propaganda. And so when you...
Okay, stop right there. For her to say while she's at a propaganda event funded by Marian Adelson that somehow these students
Israel,
take such
real
a long
Israel.
time to explain to them.
Well, when I say real Israel,
hold on.
When I say real Israel, I'm meaning real money backing pro-Israel. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. To bankrupt the U.S. and make their agenda over in Israel with this new bill, stealing of the land, this the Jetsons, this new world order, Israel. That's what I mean when I say real. I mean, I'm saying she really involved in it. And they say her money long. Her money loved them long time. Yeah, so I'm sure she was probably one of the ones who stopped backing Charlie. Yeah. So I think she gives the green light. Now that I'm thinking about it, she green light. She higher up. You understand? I'm winking my eye at y'all. She higher up. She higher than Bibi Netanyahu. I ain't gonna sue you. Yeah, she up there. Let's be clear.
And all of these civilians can be executed, and all of these hospitals and schools and infrastructure where Hamas was nowhere around can be executed because you don't understand history. The level of condescension, the level of gaslighting, the lack of moral clarity is so abhorrent here.
Well, they know that majority of the people don't know history because they have been whitewashing it. Hi, Satoria. See, this is what happens when you do too much whitewashing. See, once you have a painted over Mozart, the Mona Lisa. I mean, once you have painted over it to get a real good counterfeit, to try to keep repainting over the same picture over and over, it's going to get dull. Ain't nobody gonna pay it no mind. It's gonna be like, what is this? Why is the paint so thick? What is this? That ain't how she was looking. And see, this is what's happening. Y'all have whitewashed it so much until they more believe TikTok, I guess. I don't know. Don't nobody really know the truth here, because some of y'all done forgot it. And some of these new breeds, they didn't realize that their whole life history is a lie. But carry on.
And I want to confess to every single person that watches this channel about my own evolution to an extent, that in 2016, during the primaries, I voted for Hilary. And I had an option that I could have voted for Bernie Sanders. And I felt like I bought into the narrative, the MSNBC corporate news, CNN narrative that Hillary could win and that Bernie Sanders was too radical. And I heard the other side a little bit that, Hillary was a corporate dim and beholden to corporations, but I didn't want to face it. And I was a good Democrat that did what I was supposed to do accordingly. It was a huge mistake, and a mistake which I regret so much, because not listening to the Bernie Sanders, who doesn't take AIPAC money and corporate money and is not beholden to anybody, was a huge error on my part, not to mention the way the Democratic Party screwed Bernie over. And I just think this presentation and this collusion with these Zionists at this meeting in New York City, it's all triggered by Zoran Mamdani. They're terrified of him, and throughout all these conversations, they mention him all the time. And I just think it is so rich that they think we don't see all of the anti-Semitism in the MAGA administration.
It has been
and
retold.
All I see is a bunch of people that want to calm themselves and justify their lifelong support of Israel. Meanwhile, you're supporting a fascist, genocidal war criminal who targets children, execution style. And then you have the condescension to tell people that you think what they see or what they've read, you try to minimize it. And I just think this is absolutely the final nail in the coffin of all of these AIPAC, PAC supporting Democrats.
I look at this, I was so profoundly disappointed with this. Marian Adelson is the number one. She gave $100 million to build the embassy in Jerusalem, the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. Trump gave her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and Hillary Clinton, who is smart, she is thoughtful. This was so disappointing, and I agree with you. A lot of this is Zoran Mamdani. They are scared of him. Hillary Clinton is no longer in office. She's never going to be in office again. This is a time for her to be a leader about the rights of all these children. I mean, she's a grandmother, for fuck's sake. I'm
See,
beyond.
that's the problem. That's the problem. Her and her husband and her daughter, all of them are in the files. So she, so they have something over Hilary too. Her hand, I'm assuming that her hands ain't clean as we would have thought they were. Because when I was talking to her just a minute ago, I wanted to ask her, was she okay with Trump sucking on Bill like that? I mean, you ain't mad? Did you get mad? Oh, you was only mad when it was Monica Lewinsky. I mean, wait, what? Oh, but y'all got a common cause. I mean, see, I think that the Clintons have been in the game of it all with Epstein longer than Trump. I may be wrong. And I'm only saying that because of how long they have been in politics. See, when they was involved with Israel and Russia and all these other places, oh boy was over there saying, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. So I'm going to assume that the Clintons have probably been in the game of all of this human trafficking or the kids stuff longer than Trump. I'll give Trump that. I don't know for sure. That's just my opinion now that I'm thinking about it. And Hilary, she wasn't left out. She knew, just like we would have assumed that Melania didn't know. Oh yeah, shit. She came in groomed. She came in groomed. And was pimped out and hold out and hold out. Hold. Yeah, I said I ran them all together. Hold out and hold out. Hold out and hold out. Yeah, so he had to buy her at a depreciated price. So yeah, I would not have assumed that she would have been involved like that. But Hilary knows. And she's coming out the closet for some reason. I mean, so who are they gonna get to reach the young people right now? Can't be none of them turning point people, because every time I turn around, Candace is laying them down. She's swinging. I mean, she's swinging with her whole fist, with all her might and all the ancestors' might. I mean, people can ask her about black people if they want to. Them ancestors got her back. So it is what it is. Let's go.
Well, the situation is her grandchildren are Jewish, and there is a level of cult-like indoctrination that
right there.
I see in
that part.
Religious fanatics.
Lord, girl, I guess if I just would have waited, you would have said what I was trying to say. She just made it quicker. That cult-like, did she say assassination or incorporation? Either way, it's cultish. Yeah, and she's a part of the cult. Let's go.
In religious fanatics across the board. And obviously Hillary Clinton is a religious fanatic, but she has for years shilled for Zionists and probably knows a lot of the truth about Israel funding. There is a level of cult-like indoctrination that I see in religious fanatics across the board. And obviously Hillary Clinton is a religious fanatic, but she has for years shilled for Zionists and probably knows a lot of the truth about Israel funding Hamas, and then has intellectualized and bargained and justified somehow this idea of Jewish supremacy and played a part in that. And she sold it so much. It's kind of like a triple trumper right now. They can't say, okay, I screwed up. And when you have the Democratic Party is supposed to be the anti-war party and the pro-universal human rights party. And there is nothing clearer on the planet than simply saying Israel is led by a fascist, authoritarian man who should be in prison. His name is Benjamin Netanyahu, and he has committed a multitude of war crimes and continues to break ceasefire and continues the genocide in Palestine. It's objectively true. And when you see people trying to go through the mental gymnastics of TikTok and all this stuff, she's basically parroting the talking points of war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. And she thinks maybe there's not cameras there, or she's so indoctrinated in this shit because she's sold out so many times. And then her daughter is married to a Jewish person, and I don't know if he's a Zionist or what. And I don't have anything against Jewish people. I have a huge problem with fascist governments that commit genocide. And I don't care if they're American governments, I don't care if they're Jewish governments, I don't care if they're Muslim governments. I have a fucking problem with all of those things because I fundamentally think it's wrong. And I think you have to have moral clarity and be completely clear-eyed about that. And time again, establishment Democrats do not have this, and they think we're stupid. They think they can talk to us the way Trump talks to Maga, and that it's going to penetrate. And it simply doesn't work with the Democratic base. Moving along, this is at the same conference, and here is a speaker. I believe she works for the Israeli government, and this is just pure lies about Zohran Mamdani. Play the clip.
After Mamdani said he will arrest Netanyahu if he comes to New York, do you think that the next time Netanyahu arrives to the UN, he will arrest him?
Well, first, I think, and I know you have many leaders from the Jewish community here.
Yeah, you talking about Hilary, Donald.
That you have a candidate who used anti-Semitism in his campaign.
Okay, stop right there. That is a lie. That is a complete...
Now arrive to the UN, you will arrest him?
Well, first, I think, and I know you have many leaders from the Jewish community here, we have to realize that you have a candidate who used anti-Semitism in his campaign.
Okay, stop right there. That is a lie. That is a complete lie. And you don't even have to play the rest of this Israeli propaganda. But here is the truth. Zohran Mamdani is not anti-Semitic, and he used zero anti-Semitism in his campaign. Has he been critical of the criminal government of Israel led by Benjamin Netanyahu? Yes, and he should be. And this is how somebody, as an atheist, who's never been indoctrinated into any of this shit, none of it, not the Christian shit, not the Jewish shit, not the Muslim shit, none of it. When I hear somebody like Zohran Mamdani say, we see rising anti-Semitism, we also see rising Islamophobia, we see rising homophobia, and he links all the human rights together and he throws zero people under the bus, I know that person is legit. When I hear Zionists talk about it, they only talk about anti-Semitism. They never go to bat for Islamophobia. They never go to bat for all of the anti-Black racism and the lack of reparations that have been paid to African Americans in this country. They never go to bat for that. And so then I know these people think that they might be better than everybody else, and they prioritize and quantify human rights. And I know that that is a red flag, that this person will sell anybody else's rights down the river. What I look for in a candidate is somebody who can preach, speak, and live the concept of universal human rights. And Hilary Clinton and all of these other Zionists on that stage, that is not it. It is a walking, talking, breathing advertisement that makes Jews less safe worldwide. I cannot impress upon you all enough how the more I hear Zionists speak, the more appalled I get. It's not just immoral messaging. It's horrifically bad messaging that is doing the opposite of what your intended messaging you want it to portray from the beginning. And then here is the press asked a U.S. official, finally, at the Pentagon, if Israel funded Hamas. I was shocked as shit that somebody asked the Pentagon, where Hegseth has, depleted everybody from the Pentagon press. Play the clip.
It's been widely documented in mainstream Israeli papers that the Israeli government funded Hamas, which we also designate as a terrorist organization. Are we therefore reassessing our relationship with Israel because of this?
That would be a better question for the State.
I know she don't want to answer that. Yeah. Let's go.
That has, depleted everybody from the Pentagon press poll. Play the clip.
It's been widely documented in mainstream Israeli papers that the Israeli government funded Hamas, which we also designate as a terrorist organization. Are we therefore reassessing our relationship with Israel because of this?
That would be a better question for the State Department, as they're the ones who have those foreign diplomatic channels.
And good for that guy for asking, because nobody ever really talks about this. The fact that Benjamin Netanyahu funded Hamas because he wanted to stay out of prison. He just recently asked for a pardon for his crimes. And I hope that if he does come to New York City, I hope he does get arrested. And what an indictment on those people on that stage to sit there and talk about their human rights and then say, we want to protect criminals at the same time. I don't know if I'm going fucking crazy with these people, but did they realize how morally insane this reads, looks, and feels?
The answer to that question is no, because we have talked to so many people that they do not see it. It is like talking to a devout evangelical Christian. They do not see reality. The cognitive dissonance is so deep.
I want to jump in here and say something that we have to provide clarity on. There are journalists in Israel and human rights groups in Israel that are truth seekers and report the truth. And the people who are purchasing the media here in the United States are propagandists for Benjamin Netanyahu so that they can, we all know what they want to do, ethnically cleanse. So I want to make sure we give credit. I understand with everything in me as an American right now that opposes our criminal government and our criminal leader, that anybody outside of the United States that criticizes MAGA and criticizes Donald Trump, that criticism is worthy, and I support you in doing that. And likewise, a lot of people that I know, the people that Hillary Clinton just so condescendingly spoke down to, that are Jewish, are mortified by conferences like this. They feel like it is an affront to their Judaism, which they experience as spiritual and beautiful and about social justice. And furthermore,
hold on. Okay, so what happened, Janet? Why are you blocking folk? What's going on? What did he say? I saw what he said about illegal things in Arkansas, and on a side note, it said I have to subscribe to chat. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That means you don't want to make personal gain. Okay, cool. I just wanted to, no, you got to. You got to subscribe over here to chat. Absolutely.
It's a deeper affront.
Okay,
simply
good.
Because of the fact that the lesson of the Holocaust seems to have been forgotten, and they are trying to propagandize and genocide their way out of that. And
he tried to move slickly. His first comment. I mean, cause listen, you don't have to comment. You don't have to. You can hold your peace and chat someplace else. Yeah, so you came in all smooth, and then you came back with a side note, as if that meant that we was gonna leave it up there when we remove your ass. Oh no, all that goes. When you go, your comments go too. So what was your point? Oh, your name Donald. Oh, you thought you was entitled. So does that mean you're a pickle eater too? Yeah, you pickle gate. Oh, okay. Yeah, bye. Thank you, Deetra. Oh yeah. It keeps that keeps it to a minimum.
They're hitting
and
a lot
and it
of
also
problems.
Because bots don't subscribe. So bots don't subscribe, and you don't have to deal with bots and all of that extra trolling. Yeah, I didn't used to like it, but I get it now. Yeah, Now Donalds, y'all Donalds that's not pickle lovers, y'all need to come and talk like y'all got some sense, cause
The history is simple.
all these other Donalds talk just like old Dick D sucking. Yeah, Lord, let me stop. Let's go.
That is shilling for a criminal
Oh, maybe
for Benjamin Netanyahu so that they can.
It is like talking to a devout evangelical Christian. They do not see reality. The cognitive dissonance is so deep.
I want to jump in here and say something that we have to provide clarity on. There are journalists in Israel and human rights groups in Israel that are truth seekers and report the truth. And the people who are purchasing the media here in the United States are propagandists for Benjamin Netanyahu so that they can, we all know what they want to do, ethnically cleanse. So I want to make sure we give credit. I understand with everything in me as an American right now that opposes our criminal government and our criminal leader, that anybody outside of the United States that criticizes MAGA and criticizes Donald Trump, that criticism is worthy, and I support you in doing that. And likewise, a lot of people that I know, the people that Hillary Clinton just so condescendingly spoke down to, that are Jewish, are mortified by conferences like this. They feel like it is an affront to their Judaism, which they experience as spiritual and beautiful and about social justice. And furthermore, it's a deeper affront simply because of the fact that the lesson of the Holocaust seems to have been forgotten, and they are trying to propagandize and genocide their way out of that. And they're hitting a lot of problems because people, when you see genocide and you see it on your phone, and then you start reading stories from all different places in the world, it's objectively true what they are doing over there. And so when you have people in the Democratic Party like Hillary Clinton,
thank you. I was looking at some other stuff.
shilling for a criminal and a government that executes kids in the head and in the chest, and you have the largest amount of amputees in the world right now with these Palestinian children. And you know that the number one killer of kids in the world right now is Benjamin Netanyahu and the IDF, and she has the fucking audacity. Millions of Americans voted for her, believed in that, to sit down and lecture us and tell us what we're seeing, what we're hearing, and our critical thinking beyond that is somehow we just don't understand history the way, you know, the Queen Hillary Clinton understands it. Democratic centrism needs to be buried, and it needs to be buried forever. And corporate Democrats need to be buried forever, because this is not it. This is not the way. You think that you're going to go play patty cake with the people who paid hundreds of millions of dollars for Donald Trump to get elected, who was a criminal, who's a human rights violator, so that he could collude with a criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu, who's also a genocider, and that your base is just going to go along with it and go, oh, maybe, please, Hillary, please teach us history, because the history that I've learned from this is very simple. And if somebody has to explain it over the course of, you know, tons and tons and tons of time, then you know that it's not history, it's a defense mechanism. Because the history is simple, it's this. The Nazis committed a genocide, a Holocaust on the Jews, and the lesson from that is never again, not to anyone, not to anyone, specifically not at the hands of the survivors and descendants of the Holocaust.
Right.
And that's it. I just did that in 20 years.
Yeah, because it's like they're on payback, like on revenge. But the thing about that is the Bibi Netanyahus and the Trumps now, they're not even really Jewish. They're not real Jews. They're not a part of the Holocaust. They just want the land, the money, the gold, the free sex, and all that other good stuff. They just want the benefits of it. So they playing both sides too, just like Bannon. They're not real. They're not legit. They may be Zionists now, but that's just honorary.
30 seconds. So I'm so sick of these corporate Democrats that are so incredibly beholden to this criminal, murderous regime and all of the organizations surrounding it that are labeling people that are critical of a mass murderer. Then you're trying to label those people as anti-Semites. Somebody like Miss Rachel. It's just the gig is so up and they keep digging and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Okay, listener, I want to tell you about this great new find
That's
for
deep.
tracking your health. It's called
That's deep.
Superpower. Superpower is a new kind of health platform that helps you finally get answers about what's really happening inside
It won't let me.
your body and what to do about it. One simple
I don't want nothing else in my
actually
body.
use, and that's your gifted membership.
I don't think so, but
Ask where you heard about them. Please mention
On Hillary Clinton. Play the clip.
We're about to lose the U.S.
I
What?
don't think so, but I don't think you can take it for granted. And I don't think it's a partisan issue. I think it's more.
We're about to lose the U.S.
I don't think so, but I don't think you can take it for granted. And I don't.
Leave you with this. Here's another video on Hillary Clinton. Play the clip.
We're about to lose the U.S.
I don't think so, but I don't think you can take it for granted. And I don't think it's a partisan issue. I think it's more generational.
Why would he ask, are we about to lose the U.S.? Why would he ask that? Now, just in my gut, I've been saying that in the New World Order, Sanders do not have to pay taxes. Sanders do not have to pay taxes. Who is Sanders? Bernie Sanders? Or Deion Sanders? Shadur, Murder. What Sanders are you talking about? Naturally, Nolans. Don't make me laugh. Ain't today Sunday? We talking about football? Have you tapped into football? You talking about Deion or Shadur, or Bernie Sanders? Which Sanders? Colonel Sanders? What Sanders are you talking about? That fake ass Kentucky Fried Chicken? Oh, he can't say chicken no more, can it? It's just the Colonel. It's just KC, Kentucky Chicken. No, what? No, just Kentucky. Hell, cause it ain't chicken. I'm so sick of this lab created. Oh my God. Oh, I don't even want to talk about that. Who was George? What's going on, George? Yeah. So as I was saying, I've been talking about how the plan is to leave the U.S. bankrupt as they build this new world order, and how the plan is to invest in the new Holy Land, Jerusalem, trying to make it biblical. Gaza, Palestine. I was going to say Palestine. Yeah. So for him to ask, are we losing the United States, the U.S.? I find that very interesting. More interesting than that she said, well, no, but don't take it for granted. Well, why not take it for granted? And why no? Because it'll still be here, but it would then be the newest third world. Y'all plan is to have leave to deplete the treasury and leave the U.S. bankrupt in war tone. So you are trying to pay back the U.S. for what happened. Yeah, y'all better stay woke.
We're about to lose the U.S.
I don't think so, but I don't think you can take it for granted. And I don't think it's a partisan issue.
She can't. Okay, so
You can take it for granted.
she couldn't say yes. Could she have said yes? Could she have said yes right now? Could she have said yes? No, she could not.
The U.S.
I don't think so, but I don't think you can take it for granted. And I don't think it's a partisan issue. I think it's more generational. I mean, when you hear people like Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes talking, they're on the right. When you hear others saying similar things, they're on the left. So this is not a Republican versus Democrat kind of divide. This is generational.
I ask you if Israel...
Generation, I'll give you that, but it ain't your land. It's our land. So what generational what? What are you talking about? You don't want to look at it as left or right. You want to look at it as generational because the Jews are coming back to reclaim what's theirs? What generation are you talking about? I mean, so now you got to watch the in disguised way, you know, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. You know, he come in a plethora of disguises. So she's disguising it. So what generation are you talking about? Are you talking about Jews going back to reclaim God's promise? Because it don't belong to you. It don't belong to you. And you know this. And you know how I know this? Because you still trying to whitewash the truth. You still whitewashing. You're still disguising. We know God is not the author of confusion. And this crap y'all doing is straight up manipulation and confusing. Because y'all want people to think that y'all are the chosen ones. And you're not. You're too far down the scale of the 50 Shades of Brown. You way down there. The darker shades are the closest. The darker you are, the closer you are. So you still lying. You still whitewashing. You're still trying to confuse. And how dare you, Hilary? You done pimped your husband, and now you trying to pimp us. We ain't going. We say no. Hell no. We don't go. We not buying into him and you. Yeah, no, we ain't going. And what happened to the guy that you was tricking on? Didn't he come up mysteriously on a lie? You have an unalive body too, don't you? Oh, you thought I forgot. Oh, you didn't think I knew. Okay. So while he was skipping and tripping, and you know, you was too. Yeah. There's a story behind him too.
And Nick Fuentes talking, they're on the right. When you hear others saying similar
to support our show.
So this is not a Republican versus Democrat kind of divide. This is generational.
I ask you if Israel is losing the U.S. Are we losing the Democratic Party? Is the Democratic Party losing itself? Looking at Israel?
Look, I think the Democratic Party, like the Republican Party, because you can go... Look, I think the Democratic Party...
is losing the U.S. Are we losing the Democratic Party? Is the Democratic Party losing itself? Looking at Israel?
Look, I think the Democratic Party, like the Republican Party, because you can go from obviously President Trump to people that are associated with the Republican Party. I mentioned two of them, Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. That's a pretty wide range.
Okay. So basically, she has to continue to go on and on and on here. And the way I view this, Pumps, is some things are universally so obvious that you can say Israel's dependence on United States taxpayer money to execute a genocide is fucking wrong. Now, the nuance in that is Tucker Carlson an anti-Semite? Is Nick Fuentes anti-Semitic? Those are good questions to have, but the lumping of all of this and what she fails to realize is everybody has seen what has happened to Palestine at the hands of the Israeli government. And then when you poll Israelis living in Israel, they support this. And that is just something I don't support and I don't have to. And I'm so sick of these sanctimonious Zionists and Zionist supporters telling us how we have to feel and think in a genocide. It just fundamentally pisses me off because there's no other world that this happens in. And as an American, I want to focus on the racial injustice in our country. And if that means that there is a rising anti-Semitism, I'm going to stand against that. I'm also going to stand against the economic disparity and the privilege issue that white people have versus black people. But most of all, my myopic focus right now is on the fact that we have an immigrant population that is wrongfully getting Gestapo-like incarcerated and sent off to places that we don't know about, which is very Nazi-esque. And so for them, in the light of all of these human rights violations that are happening in the United States of America right now, for them to say, wait, this is the main thing everybody needs to work on, is so overtly selfish and narcissistic, I can barely even take it for one more second.
No, I completely agree. I mean, the fact that the journalist, he understands.
Oh yeah, he is asking very good questions.
And in the Democratic Party are seeing pictures. I mean, all you have to say is they see the pictures. They know the numbers of the children that are dying and being killed. And she just bumbles it. I was really surprised by that answer, I'll be honest.
She's pro-Israel.
I don't know why she didn't say, yeah.
She's pro-Israel. So she's going to skip trace. She's going to bounce all over it. She do not want to answer it. To answer it would be it will be suicide against Israel.
United States and in the Democratic Party are seeing pictures. I mean, all you have to say is they see the pictures. They know the numbers of the children that are dying and being killed. And she just bumbles it. I was really surprised by that answer, I'll be honest. I don't know why she didn't say, yes, they are seeing the pictures coming out of Gaza. They are seeing what is happening in Gaza. From journalism, from pictures, from all of the reports, they're seeing it. So yes, I think there is a turn in that. But she didn't.
I wasn't surprised because this has been the Democratic position for years regarding Israel. It's been the Democratic and Republican foreign policy default setting position for years regarding Israel. What shocked me and what continues to shock me with the Hillary Clintons, the Hakeem Jeffries, the Chuck Schumers, the Cory Bookers, is that in light of all of the evidence and human rights groups, both Israeli and abroad, saying that this is a genocide and war crimes have been committed and egregious human rights violations have occurred, and we have a famine and a genocide and all of these things, that they haven't evolved on it. Furthermore, I'm shocked that for her, a criminal president that does Nazi-like stuff, if it's Trump, it's bad. A criminal president that does a genocide, if he's the prime minister of Israel, he's good. And that somehow they think that we're dumb enough to go along with that. Like that type of double standard and quantification That's what shocks me, because I've evolved on this issue. A lot of Democrats have evolved on this issue. The Democratic base has evolved on this issue. It's the lack of evolution that disturbs me. The fact that was her position, that's always been the American position. I'm shocked at the lack of evolution. This is why they're doing all these propaganda blitzes right now. And you see her fixated on TikTok. You see Benjamin Netanyahu fixated on TikTok because they think that'll fix it, because they've done something that you cannot fix. This will go down in the history books forever, that the descendants, the government of the descendants of the victims of the Holocaust themselves did the exact same thing within a century. That's what will be written in history, and they can spin it and TikTok it and have all the meetings they can, and it's not going to change the evidence of what happened in Palestine. And there's a reason they want to keep the press out of there, because it's worse than what we've even seen. All right, that's all we have. I think it's very important that we talk about this. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, and we'll be back later with more news.
They don't want us to see that it's worse than... I'm trying to stop it. Don't... Okay, so hold on, y'all. They say it's worse than what we have seen. She scolds young people. Oh, Lord. Oh, I'm on it. Hold on. I'm finna get ready to go, y'all. I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna have a live set up. Yeah, that's too long. Maybe we can watch it on the next one. I'm gonna go off into a little of design and stuff in the
I want to make it very
stuff. There's a lot. Did I make it public? I don't know. It's one it says it's 5 o'clock, but I'm gonna move the time. It is 12. I'm gonna try to make it 2 o'clock. Then I'll be back. That way I can charge up my phone, and y'all can think about how y'all gonna get the... y'all still with me? Hilary. They saying she is a sad excuse. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm gonna have to check this out on the next go round. Sad excuse. She's scolding folk. Hi, Linda Mays. Hey, Jimmy. Okay, I'm gonna be back. As I have it set at 2. I just did it on another device, so I haven't went in and did it right. I don't even think I have it titled right. But just look for a comeback at around 2 o'clock, okay? Go and get you some vittles and some tea and whatever, sippy sip or whatever, and I'll be back, okay? Mwah. Thank y'all.